The Trump administration expanded tariffs on steel and aluminum imports this week, doubling down on a policy that is reshaping trade across North America. On Monday, a new 50% tariff was slapped on more than 400 goods containing steel and aluminum. For American consumers, that means higher prices on everyday items like canned food, soda, cars, refrigerators, and electronics. For businesses, it creates uncertainty, because no one knows which category of goods could be targeted next. Porters had no grace period. Products already en route to US ports instantly became more expensive the moment the policy took effect. Factories across the Midwest are already feeling the pressure. According to the latest Producer Price Index, domestic steel prices were nearly 9% higher than a year ago. Aluminum costs rose more than 13%. These are not abstract figures. They flow straight into grocery bills, auto loans, and home appliance price tags. Smaller manufacturers say they cannot absorb these spikes the way global corporations can, and that means layoffs and weakened local economies in the very towns tariffs were meant to protect. Across the border, Canada has taken the opposite path. Ottawa moved swiftly when Washington first raised tariffs, imposing its own 25% counter tariffs on about $30 billion Canadian dollars worth of US goods. Canada also introduced tariff rate quotas to limit foreign steel, expanded procurement rules to favor Canadian firms, and even set aside financial support to help major producers like Rio Tinto keep jobs and operations secure. The contrast is striking. In the US, tariffs were sold as a way to bring jobs back, yet inflation is rising and manufacturers are cutting workers. Canada, meanwhile, has used the pressure to strengthen its domestic industry, protect workers, and stabilize supply chains. Now, another dispute is heating up, this time over the USMCA trade agreement. The deal wasn't supposed to face a major review until 2026, but Trump's team is already signaling that the pact could be reopened much sooner. Washington's biggest complaint is Canada's retaliation, tariffs on products that were supposed to be duty-free under USMCA. American officials say that undermines the agreement itself. If exemptions for Canadian goods are stripped away, as much as 35% of Canada's exports could face new tariffs. That would raise costs on both sides of the border, but also hand Trump another negotiating weapon. Canada, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, is not retreating. Ottawa is playing a game of strategic patience, keeping communication open, deepening trade ties with Europe, the UK, and Mexico, and preparing to use its most powerful leverage, energy. Canada remains the United States' top foreign supplier of crude oil, natural gas, electricity, and critical minerals. These resources are not easily replaced without disrupting entire supply chains. On August 1st, Trump followed through on his threat, imposing a sweeping 35% tariff on Canadian goods deemed non-compliant with USMCA. But notably, Canada's most strategic export, crude oil, was left untouched. Canada sends more than 4 million barrels of oil per day to the US, much of it refined in Midwestern facilities. That exemption wasn't an accident. By shaping its exports to remain USMCA compliant, Canada has blunted the impact of Trump's tariffs. Even in copper, one of the headline targets, the damage was limited, since Canada mostly exports forms that aren't covered by the new rules. Ottawa didn't just survive the tariff spike, it outmaneuvered it. Still, politics has complicated the negotiations. Just hours before the tariff deadline, Trump posted on Truth Social, linking the trade dispute to Canada's recognition of Palestinian statehood. Suddenly, what began as an economic fight turned into a geopolitical one, making the rules of the game even less predictable. For now, Carney's government is resisting pressure to rush into a deal. Canada's current position under USMCA remains stronger than the arrangements Washington has forced on Europe or South Korea. By waiting, Ottawa preserves leverage and protects critical sectors like energy and defense. The bottom line, tariffs were meant to restore American industry, but so far, they've raised consumer costs and strained manufacturers. Canada, on the other hand, is turning the moment into an opportunity, reinforcing its economy while holding powerful cards at the negotiating table. This is True Estate Report. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.